Folks, welcome back to another episode of The Fallen Badge. Today we're going to look at the murder of Trooper Nicholas Hopkins, Illinois State Police. Trooper Nicholas Hopkins was 33 years old. Now, he'd been with the Illinois State Police for a decade. Now, he was married. He had 3 kids. He had 3 sisters and 2 brothers. One of his brothers was serving with another police department in Illinois. I just thought it was so ironic how Trooper Hopkins, he lives down there, lived down there in Waterloo, Illinois. Now, that's just a rock's throw away from East St. Louis, Illinois. But I'll tell you, in terms of crime and meanness and no meanness, and the difference in these 2 towns is like from the earth to the moon. It's August 23rd, 2019. It's right around 5:30 a.m. Now, the Illinois State Police, they're going to attempt to execute a state search warrant, 1400 block of North 42nd Street in East St. Louis, Illinois. Now, an investigation had shown that suspect living at that house had been selling marijuana and crack cocaine. So now the state police brought in their SWAT team, or as I refer to them, to be the TAC unit. They're going to have them come in there and execute this warrant, since I'm sure there was a high likelihood they might meet resistance, as tends to be the case with drug dealers. Now, Trooper Hopkins and 2 members of the SWAT team, they were attaching chains to the bars on the front door of the residence, and these chains are going to be connected to the front of the police vehicle, one of their armored vehicles, so that way they can snatch the bars off the door so they can get entry into the house. So now they've got these hooks that are connected to the chains, and they're running them through the steel bars. Trooper Hopkins, he turns to walk off the porch, and then shots ring out from inside the house. Trooper Hopkins, he goes down, and then the police, they open up on the house. So the police they evacuate Trooper Hopkins from the front yard, get him off to the hospital, and they use their armored vehicle they got, and they knock down a section of the front part of the house, and they lob tear gas in. So this goes on for a little while, and finally they're able to get the occupants of the house to surrender and come out. Now, the search of the house, police recover 2 semi-automatic rifles and 5 handguns. Handgun that was used to kill, or would eventually lead to the death of Trooper Hopkins. That pistol had the DNA of the suspect on it. And Trooper Hopkins would later die at the hospital. Now, what the suspect's telling the police is that he was asleep on the couch in the living room. And he said he woke up because he heard sounds on the front porch. Now, the suspect's claiming he thought it was somebody there to rob him. That's one of the hazards of being a crack dealer. Is people sometimes rob you for your money or your drugs. And he said that he just got robbed 2 weeks before, And I'm sure he didn't call the police to file a report on that. So anyway, so he hears these sounds and he does what any genius crack dealer would do. He just starts cranking rounds through the front door. Fired 3 rounds. One of them struck Trooper Hopkins somewhere in the body, leading to his death. Now the suspect, the feds, they charge him with distribution of crack cocaine, 3 counts, maintaining a drug house, possession of a firearm in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime, use of a firearm in the furtherance of a drug trafficking crime, use of a firearm to commit murder in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime, and possession of a firearm by a felon. So other than that, the suspect's doing all right. But oh, by the way, state of Illinois slaps a first-degree murder charge on him. So either way, the suspect's in a lot of trouble. Of course, the suspect wouldn't do something as foolish as just blindly shoot out you through your front door or windows. You'd be all right. And of course, being a crack dealer is not too good either. So he had a lot of strikes against him. And folks, if any of y'all have a home defense plan, that plan should not include firing blindly out the doors or windows, because you're going to be in trouble. You really need to know who you're shooting at before you start shooting. So now, about 2 years later, July 9th, 2021, the feds cut a deal with him. Suspect, he pleads guilty to 6 charges: use of a firearm to commit murder in the furtherance of a drug trafficking crime, maintaining a drug house, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and 3 counts of distributing crack cocaine. Now, as part of that plea deal, the suspect admitted to firing the pistol. He got 453 months in federal prison. Now, December 21st, 2022, suspect pleads guilty to first-degree murder in St. Clair County, Illinois, Circuit Court. Now, the state gives him 37 years, so they must give him the low end of first-degree murder. Now, according to the resource material, the federal sentence will be served first. And unlike the state system, the federal system, you're pretty well going to serve most of your time. So after he's released from the feds, which that's 40 some odd years, he's going to have to go serve that 37 in the state prison. Now, state prison is very lenient. I don't care what state you're in. So 37 years is probably more like about 4 or 5 years or 6 years. That is, if the Department of Corrections can slip somebody out the prison doors without anybody noticing. But in any event, if he actually serves the time he's supposed to serve, the suspect will not be eligible for parole until he's 82. I find that unfortunate, since Trooper Hopkins was not given such a deal. I'll bet you if you asked his wife and his kids, can we have our husband and daddy back until he's 82, I imagine they just might take that deal. So a good man dies and an idiot goes to prison. Trooper Nicholas John Hopkins. End of watch, August 23rd, 2019.